Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. Guys, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, share the videos as always. I really do appreciate your support. I really do appreciate everything that you guys, supported my channel. I see the views have increased. I've seen the subscribers. I see new people on my channel every day. That makes me feel great. Let's keep growing. Let's keep growing together. And hopefully one day we'll grow this channel into a massive boxing channel. And we'll all be on this journey together. I can't thank you guys enough. I'm not going to sit here and say that I've got a really successful channel. But I feel like it's become before I was doing it, and I was doing it because, I just like boxing and stuff. Now it's become like I'm doing it not just because I like boxing, which obviously I do. I'm doing it because I get to socialize with some of you guys, and that makes me feel great. Like we're all like for me, it's not just about talking about boxing, it's talking to you guys and socializing. And that's why I say anyone that wants to come on, you're more than welcome to come on the live streams, because it's become kind of like, for me, like anyone that's, struggling a little bit, that's alone, that they can come on and have a chat with people, and it gives people a platform to talk. Whereas like people that are into boxing and they're doing their own channels, sometimes it's just like, yeah, listen to me. Whereas I feel like in the live streams, I like to give people opportunity to give their say and give the fans, a normal fan, the normal everyday fan, an opportunity to share their views and their opinions on the platform, which makes it great. It makes me happy that people get their opportunity, and also it gives me, more so than me doing this financially, which, like in order to make huge money out of this financially, you'd have to get crazy amount of views. But for me, it's more if it gets successful to that level, then fair play. But it's become like part of my life, not so much financially, but more the fact that I get to talk to people, and I get an opportunity, because I'm not someone that's very sociable. I'm not somebody that goes out a lot. So it gives me an opportunity to speak to you guys. It gives me an opportunity to, talk to you. So yeah, I appreciate the support. Thank you very much. Let's get into this video. Guys, there is Jermall Charlo went on social media and he said that he could be involved in the biggest super middleweight fight. Now, automatically, a lot of people started hinting at Canelo Alvarez, that it looks like this may be a showdown with Canelo Alvarez. And Canelo's also said himself, Eddie Reynoso said that they are looking at Golovkin and Charlo. We know that the Charlo works with Charlo's under the PBC banner, and the PBC banner is a fight. Canelo just fought Caleb Plant, and that was under the PBC banner. So Canelo has a good relationship with the PBC. So is there an opportunity for Canelo Alvarez to do another fight with the PBC against Jermall Charlo, which would be a fairly big fight? And Canelo has openly said that he's interested in a fight with Jermall Charlo. He's openly said that, he's interested and he would like that fight. He thinks it's quite a big fight. So, I do think that Canelo likes that fight. I do think that fight interests Canelo. I do think stylistically and from a name and point of view, I do think that fight's quite big. Is it Golovkin-like big? Possibly not, but it's a big fight. It's not just a big fight, it's a massive fight. It's a massive fight. And I think it would do quite well financially. I think it'd do huge pay-per-views. Like the Caleb Plant fight, what did that do? Like 700,000 or whatever? I think this would do over 1 million quite comfortably as well. I think Jermall Charlo has his own name and is quite a big name. Like he's a big name, without Canelo. Like Caleb Plant was big because of the fact that it was undisputed. But prior to that, not many people knew who Caleb Plant was. Jermall Charlo is a big name himself. Obviously nowhere near the Canelo Alvarez level, but he's still a big name on his own right. And that combined with Canelo would make for a very, very big fight. So, yeah, there is a good possibility that Canelo and Charlo may get it on. There's a very, very good possibility, because I think that fight is a very winnable fight for Canelo. And it's a fight that is financially very lucrative for him. So it wouldn't shock me or surprise me if Canelo goes ahead and does basically Charlo fight, because I think the fight makes a lot of sense. It's a big fight. I think it'll do good numbers, and I think Canelo would be interested in something like that. So yeah, I won't be surprised if Canelo and Charlo get it on. I think it would make a lot of sense. I think it would do big numbers, and I think it's a fight that would interest a lot of boxing fans without question. I think it's a fight that would definitely get me excited. I don't know about you guys. It'd definitely be a fight that I would be very, very interested in a fight that I would more than happy watch without question and be excited about. So yeah, there is talk about Canelo and Charlo. There was talk that, maybe Charlo was referring to Canelo, but there's also a possibility that Charlo may be fighting Caleb Plant, because Caleb Plant is also under the PBC banner. Caleb Plant will be looking to come back after his defeat to Canelo Alvarez, and maybe a fight with Jermall Charlo makes a lot of sense. Maybe it makes a lot of sense for both guys. However, if he is talking about Caleb Plant, is that the biggest fight that could be made in the super middleweight division? I'm not so sure. I don't know how big that fight is. I think it's a good fight. I don't think it's that big a fight. I don't think it's a huge fight. I don't think it's a fight which is going to do crazy pay-per-view numbers. They will 100% stick it on pay-per-view. But is it the biggest fight in the super middleweight division? Maybe if Canelo's left. I don't know. There's Benavidez as well, which will be quite, a bigger fight possibly. I don't know. It's a tricky one for me. I personally think if Jermall Charlo is talking about the biggest fight in the super middleweight division, it's probably Canelo Alvarez. Is Canelo Alvarez not going to go up to heavyweight or cruiserweight and fight Jermall Charlo? I think a lot of people would prefer that. I think a lot of people would prefer that over the Makabu fight. I think a lot of people are not interested in the Makabu fight, and they would rather see Canelo Alvarez fight Jermall Charlo right next over Makabu. Even though, when it comes from a history standpoint, Canelo will be defending his undisputed super middleweight championship. But the fight's not in terms of title-wise, doesn't do anything for Canelo, because Jermall Charlo won't be bringing anything to the table in terms of title-wise. But he would be bringing a big name, and he would be bringing a lucrative fight to Canelo Alvarez. I think that fight does big numbers on pay-per-view. I think Canelo will probably get paid more than $40 million, maybe $50 million for that fight. I do think it's a much bigger fight than Caleb Plant. Much bigger fight. And I think it would do crazy numbers on box office. I think it'll do over 1 million, I think. And when you think about the pay-per-view cost, about 70, it probably does 70 million on pay-per-view revenue. 70 million, and then obviously you've got to consider the great. So you're looking at a very lucrative fight here, if that fight does go through. So yeah, it would definitely be the biggest fight in the super middleweight division. Would the Benavidez fight be bigger? I'm not so sure. Would it be? I think Jermall is more proven than David Benavidez. Would Jermall beat David Benavidez? I think he might do. Because I think Benavidez is I think Jermall has got a very good chin. I don't think Benavidez is a big puncher. Could David Benavidez outwork him? Possibly. I think Jermall Charlo also has the power and the dynamite in his hands to possibly hurt David Benavidez. So I would really be interested in a Canelo and Charlo fight. I think it's a great fight. How do I see the fight going? It's a good fight, because a lot of Charlo fans think that Charlo will get behind the jab and jab Canelo's head off. I totally disagree with that. I think Montiel showed that you can get to Charlo. Montiel, I think, wobbled Charlo in that fight. Canelo's an absolute different animal. I think he'll get on the inside and hit a lot of body shots, hit Charlo with a lot of body shots. I think Charlo hasn't been in there with a fighter like Canelo, an elite fighter like Canelo Alvarez. And I think that experience that Canelo has now, I think personally, I don't think Charlo can hurt Canelo, even though Charlo's very strong. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, look at what Charlo did to Derevyanchenko, but Derevyanchenko's not in the, and Canelo Alvarez aren't in the same kind of ballpark. They're two guys at completely different, they're not at the same level. So for me, Canelo Alvarez would be a massive favorite going into a Charlo fight. I think Canelo would have the superior skills, the faster hands. Charlo is the bigger guy, like height-wise, not so much frame-wise. Even though Charlo is a big guy, but Canelo's also a big dude. Canelo, for me, has the more complete set of boxing skills. I think Canelo has great punching power. I think he could hurt Charlo. But Charlo has got a very good chin. So would Canelo stop him? Possibly. I don't think. Look, with someone like Andrade, I think Canelo could stop him brutally. With Charlo, I'm not so sure. I think Charlo, he'd have to break him down and beat him down. I think I won't be surprised if Charlo makes it the distance, but I think he'd be beat down like Callum Smith. I think Canelo Alvarez would win a comfortable points decision, maybe 9-3. I don't think Charlo would outbox someone like Canelo. And maybe if Canelo puts his foot down on the gas, I think Canelo may be able to force a late stoppage. That's how I would see that fight going. I think Charlo would have to box a very smart fight where he'd stick, jab, 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 probably jab, 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 grab a few right hands. I don't think Charlo has that skill set to beat Canelo. I just don't. Charlo does have a style which I thought in the past had a style which could cause Canelo trouble. And what I meant by that, Charlo's a very physically strong guy. And he's got a good jab. He takes a good shot. And he is a very physically strong guy. But after seeing some of his recent performance against Montiel, I kind of changed my mind. I always thought that if a lot of people say Canelo, I feel like Canelo not necessarily has stamina issues, but I think Canelo doesn't work 3 minutes of the round. Canelo likes to take rests. And I think Golovkin was able to make Canelo work 3 minutes of the round in that first fight especially. And he exerted a lot of pressure on Canelo. I felt Charlo had the boxing style to do that. Unfortunately, in his last fight against Montiel, I think there was a lot of weaknesses defensively. And I don't really feel the same way about Charlo that I did. I don't think he has that style. I don't think he's as good as Golovkin. And I don't even think he has the chin of Golovkin, if I'm honest with you. I think you've got to be very physically strong. You've got to have a big punch. You've got to have a good chin yourself. And I'm not so sure that Charlo has all of that. You've got to have some serious durability as well to take what Canelo's throwing at you as well. So I'm not so convinced, if I'm totally honest with you. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. I don't know. But I personally think Canelo Alvarez would win a wide points decision or a late stoppage against Charlo. But it's definitely a fight that I would like to see. It's definitely a fight that interests me. It's definitely a fight that would sell. It's definitely a fight that I think PBC could do huge numbers. Huge numbers. I'm talking crossing the 1 million mark. I'm not sure the Canelo Alvarez Caleb Plant crossed the 1 million mark, but I believe this fight would cross the 1 million mark. I believe this fight would do serious numbers. So I think it would make a lot of sense for them to make that fight and for them to fight. I think Charlo's at the stage of his career where he needs that defining fight now. He needs a big fight. That could be Andrade at middleweight, but it doesn't look like that fight's going to happen. And a Canelo Alvarez fight would be massive. Now, let's see what Canelo's next move is. I think a lot of people are waiting. Mayweather had the welterweight division on lock like that. A lot of people were waiting to see if Mayweather was going to choose them. The welterweights were a bit more jam-packed. There was a bit more greater fighters there. There was Miguel Cotto, Manny Pacquiao, Shane Mosley. So there was a lot of big names. Manuel Marquez. There was a lot of big names hanging around at welterweight. So even if Mayweather didn't choose you, you could get another super fight. The problem is in these divisions that all these guys are looking at Canelo, and they're not superstars in their own right. So they're all looking for Canelo to get that payday, and they know that their big fight is going to be against Saul Canelo Alvarez. So yeah, it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one because we're not getting the fights that we want to get, and these guys are not fighting each other because of the fact that they want to see if Canelo's the guy that picks them, or Canelo picks them. So yeah, hopefully in the future we can get these guys fighting a lot more. As with Floyd, when Floyd left, these guys have to start fighting each other. We saw Spence fight Porter, Danny, and we saw Spence fight Mikey Garcia because there was no Mayweather. So hopefully we can get more big fights. We can get guys like Jermall Charlo and Caleb Plant in the ring. But what do you guys think? Canelo Alvarez v Jermall Charlo. Do you think that fight's going to happen? Do you think it's not going to happen? How would you see that fight? Who do you think wins that fight? Do you give Jermall Charlo any chance in that fight? Do you think Jermall Charlo could cause the upset? Or do you think it's just one-way traffic and Canelo Alvarez would win a unanimous decision or even a late stoppage. Let me know your thoughts, guys, in the comment section below. And guys, remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.